Here we go, babies. As you know, guys, these previous days we have been talking about past continuous. And during the year, in some other moments, we have talked about past simple. These are two verbal tenses, guys, we use to talk about things that are in the past, things that happen in the past. But today we are going to have some time to practice with these and to learn how to use one or the other according to the situation, okay? Before beginning, I have a question for you. What is past simple, guys? What do you remember of past simple? What is that? What can you tell me about past simple? Like this, past
It's a
simple.
time tense that we use to describe or to say the one action in the past.
That's it. It is a verbal tense we use, my dears, when we want to talk about finished actions that happened in the past. Finished actions that happened in the past. For example, yesterday I went to the school. Can you see? It is an action that is over. It is an action that I just did yesterday. Yep. When we talk about past simple, my dears, we have to remember the structure. Remember, we have subject, we have verb in past tense, of course, and we have a complement. But there is an important characteristic with the verbs. We have two kind of verbs when we talk about past simple. Which are those two kind of verbs? Who can tell me? What is the characteristic of the verbs in past simple, guys? What is the main characteristic
In
of those?
regular verbs, we use
Uh-huh.
ed or d, and in irregular verbs, the verbs change totally.
That's it, my dear. So look at this. When you have regular verbs, you have to use ed at the end. And when you have irregular verbs, you have to change the structure. Remember that in the last page of your book, you have like a list of verbs, tienen una lista de verbos. The second column is the one of the past simple. How are you going to identify if you have a regular verb or an irregular verb? First of all, it is necessary to know, of course, the list of verbs. And if you have a verb that is not part of that list, you are going to know it is regular. Si tienes un verbo que no está en esa lista de verbos que tienes al final del libro, te vas a dar cuenta que es un verbo regular y por lo tanto, como nos dice Mateo, termina en ed. We have also something else with past simple, and it is an auxiliary verb. What is the auxiliary verb or past simple? Remember, we have to use the auxiliary verb for negative and also to make questions. So, when we use an auxiliary verb, we don't have to change the verb. Cuando usas el auxiliar, acuérdate que el verbo pues ya no cambia. So, what's the auxiliary verb of past simple? Who can tell me? Okay, Gabi, that's it. The auxiliary verb of past simple is did. Very good. That's the auxiliary verb. So tell me, guys, this is like a super fast review. You have it. Questions up to this point? Perfect. And what happened then with past continuous? This is the one we began talking with the previous week, and we have been working with that also this week. So what is past continuous? What can you tell me about it? When do we use past continuous, guys? What do we understand by continuous? What is it? What can you tell me? Think about it. We have been working with that a lot. Open your microphones and let me know, guys. Past
Like
continuous. What is that? Tell me,
past
darling.
continuous is a past continuous is a tense that we use to describe an action in the past, but this action have a duration in time.
That's it. That's the clue, guys. That's the keyword. Duration in time, progress. It is also a verbal tense that is going to be in past. Yes. It is also an action that is finished. Yes, ya se acabó. But here is the difference between past simple and past continuous. While you are using, guys, or you are talking about finishing actions that just happened and those actions are over in past simple, in past continuous, babies, you have to take into account that the actions had duration in time. For example, you can say, Yesterday evening, I was watching TV. I was watching TV. I took some time yesterday to watch TV. That action had a duration in time. Can you see it? It is not just like yesterday I watched TV and that's it. No. I am expressing that yes, it is a finished action, but I want you to know that I spent some amount of time while doing that action. So, yesterday evening I was watching TV. Or you can say, you were studying English this morning. You were studying English. Can you see? It is in the past. It had a duration of time. Questions up to this point, my dears? It is easy. You already know this. Let me ask you something, guys. We have something super important when we talk about past continuous and generally when we talk about continuous structure. What is that? How can you make the continuous form? There are two important things you have to take into account and you can never forget about it. Two important
The
things that
verb
are
to
super in love.
be. The verb
Okay,
to be
Mateo,
and ing.
that's it. And as also Anna is saying in the chat, you have to use the verb to be and you have to use the main verb with ing. In this case, and that happens with every single structure we have in continuous. But in this case, we are talking about past continuous. For that reason, we are going to use the verb to be in past, as Anna is saying, was or were according to the subject, plus the verb with ing. You got it. Perfect. When do we use was? When do we use were, Anna? Tell me. Open your microphone, princess. When do we use was? When do we use were?
Utilized was she, he, and it, and were you, they, and we.
That's it. Also with I, you have to use was. So think about it in this way. If you have something singular, just one person, just one thing, you are going to use was. I was, she was, it was, he was, Maria was, my cousin was. Can you see? And if you have something in plural, that means more than one thing, like a lot of things, or two, three, four, five, whatever, more than one, you are going to be using were, okay? We were, they were, you were, and so on. Be careful with you guys because you is going to be with were because you can be singular or it can be plural. El you puede ser tú o puede ser ellos. For that reason, you are going to use were, okay? So, singular was were with plural. Now that you have this super clear, I mean, you have this in your minds, we are going to check what's the difference between past simple and past continuous. Here we go. Let's begin. Here we have a story, babies. In this story, we are going to read this story together, and the idea, guys, is that we are going to identify when are we using past simple and when are we using past continuous, okay? So the story is called The Mysterious Stalker, okay? It says, on a cold, dark night, Tim was working in the office. At midnight, he finished his work. As he was leaving the office, he realized that the streets were empty. He was walking back home when he heard some footsteps. He turned around, but no one was there. He walked faster, but the footsteps seemed closer and louder. As he was running home, he saw a bar and he hid there. There he asked for help. I was walking home and someone was following me. But the barman said, man, the footsteps are yours. The soles of your shoes came off. So take a look at this story, my dears. As you can see there, we are we are narrating like this story, this event that happened, but we are using a lot of past tense structures. We are using past simple and we are using past continuous. So let's try to identify together in which parts of the story we use each verbal tense, okay? So let's begin with this one. On a cold, dark night, Tim was working in the office. So tell me, guys, is that past simple or past continuous? What is it? On a
Past
cold, dark
continuous.
night. Perfect, Cami, is past continuous. So look at this. Tim was working. This is the first clue, sorry, I want you to have. We are going to use past continuous in this kind of stories when we want to give the background, when we want to give the atmosphere, when we want to talk about the context where the story is going to happen. Yeah? In this case, on a cold, dark night, you have the description of the night and you have the action our main character was doing. Tim was working in the office. Let's continue. At midnight, he finished his work. What is that?
Past
Simple or
simple.
continuous?
Simple.
Past simple. Very good. Look at this. He finished his work and you have one specific time. What is that time? At midnight. That means, babies, that you have a specific moments, a specific hours, a specific like events, like situations in the past where the action happened. When you have this, so literal, you are going to realize that this is an action that is already done. Es una actividad que se acabó. No duration in time, no something weird, just it's over. Let's continue with the next part. Let's take a look to this one. It says, as he was leaving the office, he realized that the streets were empty. Take a look to the
Continuous.
entire sentence. So what am I using there?
Repeat, teacher, please.
Take a look to the entire sentence and tell me, am I using continuous or simple in all of these? Look at this.
Continuous.
Okay, just continuous or also simple? What can you tell me?
The past continuous and past simple.
That's it. You are using both, guys. Look at this part. As he was leaving the office, this is in continuous. He was leaving the office. But the next part is in simple. He realized that the streets were empty. And we have one word here that is beginning the sentence. As. What is the meaning of as, guys? What is the meaning of that word? As. What is that? As he was leaving the office. Tell me, baby. Can you please repeat, princess? What is the meaning of as?
¿Cómo?
Kinda, yeah, like como, but in this case it's more like mientras. Okay? In this case of continuous and simple, babies, this as is going to be like mientras, okay? So, as he was leaving the office, he realized that the streets were empty. So look at this interesting thing, guys. You have an action that is happening, you have an action that was in progress, and suddenly this other action interrupts this one. So this is another clue I want you to have. When you have an action that interrupts the action that was happening, that other action is going to be in past simple. La acción que te interrumpe la otra va a estar en pasado simple. Ahí es cuando empiezas a ver cómo utilizas los dos tiempos en una historia, cuando estás narrando algo. Y muchas veces en nuestra vida hablamos así y no lo notamos. Entonces, mientras él estaba haciendo esto, se dio cuenta de esto. Can you see? So we have two verbal tenses. ¿Qué es lo que nos dice que mientras esto pasaba, otra cosa va a pasar? En este caso es el as. So look at this. In this case, we are using both. Let's continue. He was walking back home when he heard some footsteps. Simple or continuous? What can you tell me?
Continuous.
Just continuous, Cami?
The final is simple.
That's it, Cami. Very good. So we are using both again. So he was walking back home. Once again, we have an action that was in progress. I mean, he was going, so he spent some time. He was spending some time doing that when he heard some footsteps. So once again, we have an action in past simple. Once again, we have an action, babies, that interrupts the first action. Tenemos otra vez una acción que está interrumpiendo lo que venía sucediendo. ¿Qué interrumpió que él estuviera caminando? Que escuchó como unas pisadas. And take a look to this word. Now we don't have as, no tenemos un as. Now we have this word in the middle of the two actions. We have when. What is the meaning of when, guys? What is that, babies? What is the meaning of when?
¿Cuándo?
Cuando. Perfect. So, you have, he was walking home cuando he heard some footsteps. Él estaba haciendo esto cuando esta otra cosa pasó. Tú tenías una acción que estaba en progreso, pero llegó otra y te interrumpió. ¿Listo? So, take a look to that. The action that is interrupted is in continuous. The action that interrupts goes in present simple. Let's continue. He turned around, but no one was there. Simple or continuous? Who can tell me?
Simple.
Simple. So it is just an action that happened. There is no interruption. There is not like continuity in the time. It is nothing like he was turning around and turning around a lot of times. No, it is just one action in the past. It is over. Simple. He walked faster, but the footsteps seemed closer and louder. Simple or
Simple.
continuous?
Simple.
Simple, easy peasy. So there is no action that interrupts. There is no action being interrupted, and you just have this action. He decided to walk faster because someone was chasing him. So let's continue. Take a look to this part. As he was running home, he saw a bar and he hid there. Simple or continuous, guys?
Continuous and finally simple.
Okay, why do we have simple and why do we have continuous by taking into account the previous things I have said? ¿Por qué hay simple y continuo en esta misma oración? What's happening there?
This the verb, principal verb is running.
Yeah, but why do we have two verbal tenses? Porque tienes dos, porque el pasado simple y porque el pasado continuo, porque los dos y no solo uno. De acuerdo a lo que les he dicho, cuando aparecen los dos, ¿qué está pasando? Hay una acción que está haciendo ¿qué?
Interrumpir.
Interrumpir. ¿Listo? Interrumpir. That's the word, to interrupt. So look at this. Once again, as he was running home, this is continuous, he was running home, and then as he was doing that, he saw a bar and he hid there. El hecho de que él ya no estaba caminando, ya iba corriendo para la casa, fue interrumpido porque vio un bar y se escondió en él. Can you see? Two actions. One action happened first, then the other one followed, but both are in past because those are actions that finish it, and that's it. These are the actions that interrupt the other one. So remember, we have two actions in the story. One is interrupting the other one. Past simple interrupts past continuous, okay? As he were running home, he saw a bar and he hid there. Let's continue. There he asked for help. Simple. I was walking home and someone was following me. Guys, simple or continuous? This next part.
Continuous.
Continuous. I was walking home and someone was following me. Can you see? So what happened? In this part, you have two actions that were happening at the same time. When you have two actions happening at the same time, that were happening at the same time, my dears, you have to use past, continuous, and that's it, okay? I was walking home and someone was following me. Aquí no hay una acción que esté pasando primero que la otra. Aquí no hay una acción que esté interrumpiendo. El hecho de estar caminando no interrumpe que lo estén siguiendo y el hecho de que lo estén siguiendo no interrumpe que esté caminando. Son dos acciones sucediendo al mismo tiempo. So I was walking home and someone was following me. In this case, parallel actions continues. Let's finish. But the barman said, man, the footsteps are yours. The sole of your shoes came off. So tell me, guys, this part, the barman said, it is like in past. It is just one single thing that happened. And tell me, guys, was there someone following the guy? Was the guy being followed by someone or no? What's the end of this story? ¿Sí lo estaban siguiendo o no? Yes or no? What can you tell me? What can you tell me, my dears? Look at this. Man, the footsteps are yours. The soles of your shoes came off. So was he being chased by someone or not really? Mateo, what can you tell me? Was he being chased or no?
Not really.
Not really. It was just something that happened with his shoes and he was the only one who was listening, someone following him, and it was not true. So as you can see, my dears, when we have past simple and past continuous, we are going to talk about the stories. This is the way we talk about the stories in our real life, in our everyday life. Tú cuando cuentas una historia, cuando hablas de ti o cualquier cosa que te pasó en el pasado, perdón la redundancia, no lo dices todo en pasado. Yo fui al colegio y entonces tú dices como, yo fui al colegio y me encontré con mi profesora y la profesora dijo tal cosa. No, tú lo cuentas más. Yo fui al colegio y mientras iba llegando me encontré con la profesora y la profesora estaba haciendo esto. Bueno, si ves, es más narrado. That's the way we use past simple and past continuous in English. So this, guys, was like the opening of the explanation, and we are going to finish the grammar explanation next class, okay? Please be ready for it because we are going to continue the grammar explanation next class. Today, babies, I am not going to upload the recording because I am going to put the two parts of the explanation in just one video. And in that way, you are going to have the entire explanation in just one part. Okay? So, guys, this is the introduction. Think about the words as, think about the words when, think about while. And next class, we are going to continue with these. Questions up to this point?
No,
I guess
teacher.
not. So, that's all for today, my dears. Well, babies, we had this story and there we had the chance to check some examples, to talk about when to use past simple, when to use past continuous. But right now we are going to begin talking about each one, like step by step. And we are going to begin first by making this quick review of past simple. When do you use past simple? We are going to read this slide and I am going to ask Anna Nova, Princess, can you please help me reading these two moments when you use past simple?
Past simple for things that happening a specific time in the past. At midnight, Tim finished and his work. Two series of complete actions in the past. Tim saw a bar and he hid there.
Look at this, my dears. All of the examples we are going to have here are related to the story we read at the beginning of the class, okay? At the beginning of this explanation. So, first of all, guys, keep in mind that you are going to be using past simple to talk about things that happen at a specific time in the past. When you have a specific moments, a specific dates, specific times, that's going to be with past simple. For example, this one, at midnight. What is the meaning of midnight? What is the meaning of this word, midnight?
Medianoche.
Medianoche. At midnight, Tim finished his work. Look at this, my dears. Remember that in past simple, you just have to put the past form of the main verb. In this case, is finish. This is a regular verb, so it goes with ed. So at midnight, Tim finished his work. But also, babies, you can use past simple when you have series of completed actions. That means actions that happened in the past, actions that are completed, actions that finished. So take a look to this example. Tim saw a bar and he hid there. So the first thing that happened was that Tim saw a bar. The second thing that happened was that he maybe ran away and then he hid there. So one action completed, it is going to be followed by another action that is completed too. Okay? Tim saw a bar and he hid there. Two uses for past simple in this context that you must take into account. Questions about it, babies? So I am
No,
going.
teacher.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to give you some seconds to take notes of these. Don't forget, guys, that if possible, also you should be doing a tense card each explanation. But by now, please take notes, guys. Remember that it is not mandatory, but it is something that is going to be useful for you. So go ahead, some seconds to take notes, and then we are going to continue. Okay, babies, are you ready to continue or no yet? Please let me know. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Not yet, teacher.
Okay, thank you. Let's wait some extra seconds. Okay, my dears, let's continue, okay? So we have two important uses for past simple here. Things that happen at a specific time in the past and series of completed actions in the past, of course. And now we are going to begin checking the past continuous or progressive. If you see, past progressive is exactly the same as past continuous, okay? Keep it in mind. We are going to begin checking not only when to use past continuous, but also the difference between past continuous and past simple. Let's begin by this. Keep in mind this first thing. When we talk about past continuous, we are talking about a longer action. What is the meaning of longer, guys? With ER, what is longer?
Longer is
Más largo.
Más largo. Yes, longer is más largo. So longer action means that you're going to be using past continuous with the longer action. That means the action that has a duration in time. Remember that we are learning how to use past simple and continuous, especially when we are talking, for example, of a story, when we are making the narrative of something, okay? So past continuous will go with the longer action and past simple with the shorter action, la más cortica, okay? Keep in mind this, guys. From now on, I am going to use colors in this explanation. So the shorter action that is in past simple, the short one, is going to be in red, and the longer that is with past continuous is going to be in this kind of green blue or something like that. It's like blue for me. So take in mind this. The shorter action, the one in past simple, happens while the longer action is still happening. What is the meaning of while? Once again. What is the meaning of while?
Mientras.
Mientras. Mis amores, en este caso, como les decía, van a tener una acción que interrumpe a la otra. La acción más corta, que es la que van a tener en pasado simple, va a suceder mientras todavía está pasando la acción en continuo, que es la más larga. Es decir, que una acción va a interrumpir a la otra acción. So we are going to check this example we have here. I am going to ask, Gaby Rojas, can you please help me reading this example, princess?
Yes. As he was leaving the office, he realized that the streets were empty.
That's it. So this is also part of the story. Look at this. As he was leaving the office, You have a long action because leaving the office means he had to turn off the computer, he had to walk somewhere, maybe to the elevator, and then he had to close the door, and then he had to leave the place, leave the building. So it is something that took some time in the past. As he was leaving the office, as he was doing all of that, he realized the streets were empty. So he stopped doing this because of this new thing that arrived. Él dejó de hacer una cosa porque se dio cuenta de algo, porque llegó una nueva acción a ponerse ahí a decir, no, esperen, paremos un momentico, porque ahora estoy yo. Voy a interrumpir lo que tú estás haciendo. Questions up to this point? The past simple is the shorter action that is going to interrupt past continuous, the longer action. Questions, my dears? So go ahead, please take
No,
some
teacher.
time. Okay, take some time and take notes. Okay, my dears, are you ready to continue or no yet? Please let me know. Yes or no, babies? Please let me know. I don't want to advance and maybe.
Yes, teacher.
Yep. Okay, so let's continue. This is the first part you have to take into account. Past continuous, longer action, past simple, shorter action. Let's keep going. From now on, guys, we are going to begin talking about the differences and the uses of past continuous and simple. So first of all, we have this one, interrupted action in the past. So look at this. Here we have this kind of timeline, and you have this image. You are going to have the orange line that is going to be representing the long action, okay? That means past continuous. And then you have this purple one that is going to show you the moment where the action is interrupted. So while this was happening, there is something that happens to you that interrupts, but everything, guys, is going to be in the past. Not in the present, not in the future, no consequences, no so on. It is just in the past, okay? So for interrupted actions in the past. Look at this one. Let's take a look to our example. I am going to ask Geronimo, baby, can you please help me reading this part here, the example and the two clarifications?
Yo, profe?
Yes.
Okay. He was working back home when he heard some footsteps. First action, past progressive, was walking. Second action, simple past, heard.
Thank you, baby. So look at this. An interrupted action in the past. He was walking back home when he heard some footsteps. So let me ask you guys, from these two actions, what is the action that is interrupted? De estas dos, ¿cuál es la acción que es interrumpida? Tell me. What do you say? The fact that he was walking or the fact that he heard something? What's the action that is interrupted?
He was walking.
That's it, Cami. So the fact that he was walking is interrupted, like look at the X, is interrupted by the sound of some footsteps. So here you have the first action goes in continuous or progressive, was walking. The second action goes in past simple. Why? because this second action is going to interrupt this first action. ¿Será que yo puedo ponerlo así? He heard some footsteps while he was walking. Is it okay if I say it in that way? He heard some footsteps while he was walking back home. Is it okay? What do you think?
I think yes.
Yes, it is okay. ¿Qué me cambió? Que en lugar de usar el when, voy a usar el while. Porque ya no estoy diciendo primero la acción que es interrumpida, sino la que interrumpió. Y como les decía al principio, el while es un mientras que siempre va a estar antes de tu acción en continuo. Entonces puedes decir, he heard some footsteps, escuchó algunas pisadas, while he was walking, mientras caminaba. El hecho de que una acción interrumpa a la otra no cambia, mis amores. Pueden cambiar el orden de la oración, sí, pero la acción que está interrumpiendo va a seguir siendo la acción que interrumpe y la que es interrumpida igual. Va a seguir siendo la que es interrumpida. Questions up to this point? Interrupted action in the past. Questions about this first use? So go ahead, take some time for your notes. Ready, my dears, or no yet? Please let me know. Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, I guess yes, because you are super, super quiet.
Yes, miss.
Thank you. So, interrupted action in the past. That's the first use. Let's go with the next one. A specific time as an interruption. Okay, so look at this. I was telling you that you have to use past simple with specific times. It is possible to use specific times also with continuous. No es que con el continuo no lo puedas usar. Porque, por ejemplo, tú puedes decir, I was eating hamburgers yesterday evening. Tienes un tiempo específico, lo puedes usar. But look at this. There is a moment when the time, cuando el tiempo es el que interrumpe la acción. Look at this. So once again, we have our mini timeline and we have this example. Let me make it bigger for you. At midnight, Tim was working in the office. In this specific time, Tim still was working in the office. He was still working there. Okay? So, it's important to take this into account as I was telling you. You usually are going to be able to identify the use of past simple with specific times, but that doesn't mean you can't use specific times with continuous. Ténganlo en cuenta. Para ambos, y tengan esto presente porque eso sí no cambia, para ambos vas a poder usar tiempos específicos. Y puede que el tiempo sea una interrupción, puede que no, pero no es un tiempo específico, no es exclusivo del uno o del otro. ¿Listo? Let's take a look to these examples. Last night at 6 p.m., I ate dinner. This is in past simple or in past continuous? Who can tell me? This example.
Past simple.
Past simple. Last night at 6 p.m., I ate dinner. But you can also say, last night at 6 p.m., I was eating dinner. What happened? What's the difference? The difference is that when you say I ate dinner, you are talking about just the action you did, the finished action in the past. the completed action in the past and you are not giving more information about it. When you use the continuous, you are telling, okay, I did this yesterday, this is in the past, but I took some time to eat my dinner. Ahí ya estás diciendo como, no solo me la comí, estás diciendo, yo tomé un tiempo me demoré un tiempo mientras me comía mi cena. Can you see? So specific times, my dears. Questions up to this point? So please take notes. Go ahead. Okay, my dears, ready to continue or not yet? Please let me know. Ready to continue or not yet?
Ready.
Ready? Thank you, Sarah. So, babies, a specific time. So, right now we have two interruptions, interrupted actions in the past, and specific times. But here we have something else. What happened then if you have two actions that are happening in the past at the same time? What happened when you don't have one action that interrupts the other one? ¿Qué pasa si no hay acción que interrumpa? Easy peasy. In that case, you are going to use just past continuous. Look at this, parallel actions. You have two situations that happened in the past at the same time. Cami, are you okay?
Perdón por salirme, pero es que se me fue el internet y arreglé.
Oh, don't worry, it's okay. We are in the next use, Cami. We are talking about parallel actions, okay? When you have two actions that happen at the same time in the past, you are going to use just past continuous. Vas a usar solo el pasado continuo, porque no hay una acción que te interrumpa la otra y te están hablando de una continuidad en esas acciones. Acciones que estaban tomando un tiempo, sucediendo en simultáneo en el pasado. So we are going to take a look to this example. Isa, can you please help me reading the example?
I was walking home and someone was following me.
That's it. You can say, I was walking home and someone was following me. Do you have an action that interrupts the other one? No. The fact that you were walking, it is not stopping the fact that someone was following you. Okay? El hecho de que tú estabas caminando no implica que la otra persona se quedó quieta y dejó de seguirte. No, estaba sucediendo esto al mismo tiempo. I was walking, someone was following me. Look at this. In this case, my dears, we are making the link, we are making the union between this and this with and. But you can also use while, because while means mientras. I'm going to send it through the chat, while. So you can say, I was walking home and someone was following me, or you can say, I was walking home while someone was following me. Yo estaba caminando mientras alguien me estaba siguiendo. Can you see? So parallel actions in the past. If this happens, you are going to use past continuous. Questions up to this point, guys? So go ahead, keep working. Take notes, 30 seconds to take notes because this one is super short and then we are going to continue. Let's continue, my dear. So we have interrupted actions, specific times, and parallel actions. Now let's talk about the atmosphere. Do you remember that the previous class when we were reading like this example, this story, we read one part that is the atmosphere, the background of the story, the context. In that case, guys, you are going to use past continuous. Siempre que tú vayas a dar la atmósfera, siempre que tú vayas a hablar del contexto, siempre que tú vayas a decir como todo el ambiente de la historia o el relato que tienes, vas a usar pasado continuo. So we are going to take a look to this example. Look at this. So I am going to ask Mateo, can you please help me reading the example?
When I walked into the office, several people were busily typing. Some were talking on the phones. The boss was yelling directions, and customers were waiting to be helped.
Thank you. So look at this, guys. You have all of this atmosphere. You have this person who walked into the office. All of this is interrupted by the fact that he walked into the office. That's the reason why this is in past. Cuando yo entré a la oficina, he realized this. Several actions, multiple actions were happening at the same time. Yes, the context, the atmosphere of the office was this one. You have several people were busily typing. Some were talking on the phones. The boss was yelling directions. Customers were waiting to be helped. So you have multiple actions happening at the same time, guys, in the past. And these things that are happening are the atmosphere. For example, if you are reading a tale, you can say, it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining. The birds were singing. I don't know, the animals were singing a song when the princess appeared in the scene. So can you see, I was trying to explain all the context. Estaba tratando de dar esa idea de, bueno, imagínese esto, el sol estaba brillando, los pajaritos cantaban, los animales estaban felices. Todo este contexto, cuando lo hablamos, cuando lo damos, lo vamos a dar en pasado continuo. Can you see? Was or were plus the verb with ing. Atmospheres. Context of the stories. That goes with past continuous. Questions up to this point? No? So, go ahead, take some notes. Okay, my dears, ready or not yet? Please let me know. Okay, keep working then.
I finished, Miss.
Thank you, Mateo. So let's continue then, now that you are ready. Atmospheres. So we have interrupt actions, specific times, we have parallel actions, we have the atmosphere. Tengan en cuenta, amores, para acciones paralelas y para la atmósfera va solo con continuous, ¿ok? Let's keep working then. And finally, guys, okay, we are not going to be paying attention that much to this one, but remember that when you have repetition in the past, it is going to go with continuous. She was always coming to the class late. He was constantly talking. He annoyed everyone. I didn't like them because they were always complaining. But this one is not going to be part of this explanation. Esta no la vamos a mirar. Esta no la vamos a estudiar. So look at this, guys. There is something extremely important you need to know, you need to take into account when using past simple and past continuous. And that important thing is these three words: while, when, and as. While, mientras, when, cuando, and what happened with as? What is the meaning of as? In this context, guys, as it is also like mientras. En este contexto, porque as puede ser otras cosas en otros contextos. En este caso, va a ser como un mientras. So let's take a look to these examples one by one, and we are going to check how can we use each of these words. So I am going to ask, Thomas, baby, can you please help me reading the first example? He was walking, go ahead. Thomas, darling, can you please help me reading the first example? Well, Thomas seems not to be in class. So, Sofia Orjuela, baby, can you please help me reading the first example?
Es que no se prende el micrófono rápido.
Oh my God. Okay, Thomas, go ahead, baby. You are going to help me reading the three examples, but let's begin with the first one. Go ahead.
He was walking back home when we heard no sé, some footsteps.
That's it. Stop for a second, Thomas. So, he was walking back home when he heard some footsteps. Look at this. You have when, babies, and when you have when, that means that the action that is coming is something in past simple. The action that goes next is the action that interrupts. Miren acá, he was walking back home when he heard some footsteps. Ya habíamos dicho que la acción que es interrumpida es que estaba caminando y fue interrumpida con el hecho de escuchar los pasos. ¿Cuándo utilizan when? When do you use when? Lo utilizas para darle paso a la acción que interrumpe. Estaba pasando esto cuando esta otra cosa pasó. ¿Ok? So keep in mind, después de un when siempre va a venir una acción en pasado simple. ¿Por qué? Porque es la que interrumpe. Questions up to this point? Okay, Thomas, the second one. Go ahead.
As he was running home, he saw a bar, and he hid there.
Thank you. So look at this. In this case is as I told you, como les dije, as in this context is going to be something like mientras. As he was running home, mientras él corría a casa, he saw a bar and he hid there. Miren que aquí, mis amores, el as está abriendo todas las acciones que sucedieron, tanto la que es interrumpida como la que interrumpió. Si tú tienes un as al principio, ya no necesitas poner when antes de la acción que interrumpe. Simplemente lanzas la acción. As he was running home, he saw a bar and he hid there. ¿Por qué? Porque aquí ya te están diciendo, mientras él hacía esto, esta otra cosa pasó. Entonces, as is always going to be at the very beginning of the sentence, of the actions, and you are going to have before something in progressive, something in past. Vas a tener después una acción que interrumpe y una acción que es interrumpida. ¿Ok? Questions up to this point? And finally, let's take a look to the last example. Go ahead, Thomas, the last one.
While he was working at the office, then lights went out.
Thank you. Look at these, guys. When you are going to use while, you have two ways to do it. While es un mientras también. While can be at the very beginning of the sentence or it can be in the middle. Si lo tienes al principio de la oración, vas a separar la acción que es interrumpida de la que interrumpe con una coma, como en este ejemplo. While he was working at the office, comma, the lights went out. Puede ser así. Pero si tú lo pones en el medio, puedes poner the lights went out while he was working at the office. Si este while va en la mitad, mis amores, significa que lo primero que te va a aparecer es la acción que interrumpió. ¿Listo? Si va al principio, lo primero que te va a aparecer es la acción que es interrumpida. ¿Qué tienen que tener presente? Como esto es un mientras, después de este while siempre vas a tener la acción, siempre vas a tener el evento en continuo, porque es el que es interrumpido. Mientras él estaba trabajando, mientras él estaba haciendo esto, otra cosa pasó y lo interrumpió. If the while is at the beginning, you have to divide the action that is interrupted with a comma. If it is in the middle, the action that interrupts goes at the beginning. Miren, si el while está en la mitad, acuérdense, la acción que interrumpe es la que inicia. The lights went out while he was working at the office, or while he was working at the office, comma, the lights went out. Questions up to this point, babies? Questions about the use of while, when, and as? Yes, no, so? So go ahead, my dears, please take some notes. Attack. Are you ready, my dears, or no yet? Don't forget, try to take notes with different colors. In that way, it's going to be a bit easier for you. Ready or no yet, guys? Let me know. Okay, I guess just because you are super quiet, so we are going to continue, okay? So don't forget, while, when, as. Those three are super important because that is going to be super used in the stories. So, my dears, basically is that. Just for you to remember these structures, here you have like a super quick review. In past simple, guys, oh my God, esto ya lo tienen, pero es para recordarlo. In affirmative, you have to use the subject, the verb in past, and the complement. If the verb is regular, the verb is going to end with ed. So he played tennis. Can you see? And in affirmative, if the verb is irregular, you have to change the verb by the ones of the second column. So I went. I played tennis. Can you see? In regular and in irregular, you can say I went to the cinema, for example. What happened in negative? In negative, remember, guys, you have an auxiliary verb. This is in past simple. The auxiliary verb is did. So if you want to say something in negative, you just have to say the subject plus the auxiliary verb that is did not or didn't, plus the verb in infinitive. ¿Por qué en infinitivo? De la forma normal, pues porque ya tienes un auxiliar que te está diciendo, oye, estoy en pasado, entonces no necesitas cambiar el verbo ni nada, solo poner el auxiliar. And finally, in interrogative, as usual, the only thing you have to do is to switch, to change the order. So look at this. You have to put the auxiliary verb at the beginning, and then the subject, and then the verb in the normal way. Did you play? Can you see? So that's it. La diferencia, la única excepción es con el verbo to be. Con el verbo to be vas a poner was or were. No vas a poner el did. So where was I yesterday? Where did he come from? Can you see? It's the only moment when you are not going to use it. Eso ya lo tienen, ya lo saben, ya tienen notas de esto. This is just a super fast review. A structure of past simple. The important thing, the verb in past. And in past continuous, guys, the structure is this one. También ya la tienen. Oh my God, give me a second. In past continuous, this is the structure. In affirmative, you have to use the subject, the verb to be in past, that means was or were according to the subject, and the verb with ing. So he was playing tennis, I was playing tennis, she was playing tennis, it was playing tennis. Was for singulars, remember that. Or were for plural, you were cooking a cake, they were cooking a cake, we were cooking a cake, okay? That's in affirmative. Subject, verb to be in past, verb with ing. In negative, the only thing you have to do is to put the verb to be in negative. So she wasn't paying attention, they weren't listening to music, or it can be, for example, he was not paying attention, we were not listening to music. And in interrogative, guys, the only thing you have to do as usual is to change the order. Don't forget that. So instead of saying subject, verb to be, you are going to say verb to be, subject. And of course, the verb to be is going to be in past. So verb to be in past, subject, verb with ing, and the question mark. So was she running a marathon? Were they reading a book? And that's it. The most important thing here, verb to be plus verb with ing. Questions up to this point, guys? Something to say? So basically is that. Give me a second because this is weird. So what are we going to do now? Right now, guys, we are going to begin working a bit. Don't forget, in past simple, you have to use the verb in past, and the auxiliary verb is did. In past continuous, it is verb to be in past or were, plus the verb with ing. Let me know if you have questions. If you don't have questions, we are going to begin with the practice time. Questions about it? No? So, my dears, I am going to stop with the recording of the class. Remember, you are going to be able to find it in the YouTube channel and in today's forum tomorrow. And right now, we are going to begin with the practice. So give me a second while I stop the recording, please.